experience working with sports psychologists and your experience of sports psychology, I think is absolutely brilliant. I don't know if any of you came across sports psychologist Richard Cox. And Richard is he's my tutor. He's great chap, and his mantra is that you, throughout your career as athletes and coaches, you may never come across a sports psychologist, but you cannot avoid sports psychology, which is a very wise thing to say. And then we're going to look at specific psychological skills, how you apply it, and also what else you can do, what other opportunities are available. And we're going to see how you can transfer all this stuff into daily practice, into daily training with your athletes, and also apply it to yourselves as coaches, okay? And we're going to leave a bit of time for questions and answers. It's a bit formal in the end, so what I would like to do is to encourage each one of you, okay, it's your workshop, to ask questions as we go along, rather than leave a big chunk of time to for question and answers, which we will anyway, yeah? But let's make it a little bit informal. Are you okay, guys, with that? All right, good. Good. So what I would like you to do, we're going to do 5 minutes guidance attention control training. Okay. What I would like you to do now is to take pen and paper, and after we do the guidance attention training, I would like you to reflect on 3 points that you felt throughout this exercise useful, or you just acknowledge them, yeah? Whatever it is pops in your mind. I think that this is important, and just to have a discussion. The beautiful thing about psychology in general and sports psychology in particular, that there are no right and wrong answers, okay? If you look at people in this room, each one of us have completely different bodies, strengths and weaknesses and minds, even though we cannot dig in our heads, but we are equally and even more diverse from our individual differences, from each other as well. So therefore, the points you're going to reflect on after this exercise are unique, and it'll be great to share them and see where are the similarities, and so therefore please don't be shy, there are no wrong answers, okay? So, let's do the exercise. Are you okay with this? It's going to take about 5 minutes, all right? So, sit comfortably, and I'm going to close your eyes. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and I'm going to ask you to listen to my voice and do the exercise as best as you can, and then a couple of minutes afterwards, we're going to take some notes about your experience, all right? Okay, so close your eyes and feel comfortable. Okay, what we're going to do is just focus on your breathing. But before that, I would like you to pay attention to this room. Pay particular attention to the sounds in this room. What do you hear? Sharpen your focus only on the sound. And now shift your attention to the temperature. You feel comfortable, warm, too warm. Just sense the temperature and how your body perceives it. And now move to your awareness about the light. And now the sensation of your body touching the chair or the table. Which part of your body, back, arm, legs, have connection with this chair? Sense where the pressure is more, the pressure is less. please move your attention all the way down to your feet. And sense the connection with the floor. Now we're going to move forward. And please pay attention only to your outer breath. You can count after the end of your outer breath as you wish. Just sharpen your attention only on this outer breath without forcing it or holding it. Just as it is. Sense that your attention is distracted, just gently bring it back to your outer breathing. Another couple breaths, and we're going to move on. Now we're going to reverse. Count on inner breath. In breath 1. In breath 2, and so forth. Only in breath. Sharp concentration only on inner breath. Another couple of breaths, and we're going to move on. Now, please pay attention only on your nostrils. This area of your body where the air enters and leaves your body. Just narrow your attention down only on this sensation of air moving in and out. And the final stage of this exercise is for you just to be generally aware of your breathing. Any part of the breathing, just pay attention to that. Another couple of breaths, and we're going to finish here. When you feel comfortable, please open your eyes. And take 2 or 3 notes. Do general observation of what just happened. Okay, just final sentence. Let's have a quick chat. What are your general feelings about what just happened? What are your reflections?
You feel more relaxed, you get control on the breathing.
Yeah.
Kind of heart rate starting to slow down.
Slow down. Yeah, yeah. Cool.
Breath starting to kind of lengthen as well.
Yeah. So what will happen during this exercise?
I like my senses were heightened. Like when you told me to listen to what's around me, that was kind of, it was heightened. It was like,
Yeah.
that's suddenly louder. The earphone was
Yeah.
louder.
Yeah, okay. But you were not aware of it before?
Yeah, I probably
Yeah.
wouldn't have thought about it. And when someone coughed, I was like, oh, someone's coughed.
Yes. Cool. Good. Anything else? Any other observations?
I thought,
Yeah, go for it.
The temperature.
Yeah.
I hadn't noticed the temperature. As soon as you mentioned the temperature, I thought, oh, it's awfully warm.
I felt that too. I felt that just
Yeah. Cool.
I can feel like once we got about halfway through, like I almost like I had a heartbeat in my fingers and my toes and my hands, which I
Just
think is just really
awareness of
relaxed.
that,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Awareness of that.
I found it the opposite. I found it stressful. You just want to get it over with. You're focusing on temperature, being uncomfortable, pain, pressure points. When you mentioned that, just like let me open my eyes and just relax again. Your breathing's not natural.
Yeah. Why was it uncomfortable? What
You just start focusing in on something specific. So rather than you're sitting here quite comfortable, and then all of a sudden you start focusing on things. It all becomes unnatural. And you just want to open your eyes and just chill out again rather than trying to relax.
Okay, yeah, cool. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Anything else along these lines?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
please.
became quite aware of what part of my body was in contact with the chair.
Yeah.
Whereas beforehand I didn't notice it.
Yeah.
I just sat down, but then I realised that my lower back and my backside was the contact points.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, okay, cool.
I started thinking with my breathing, I started breathing in through my nose and through my mouth as well. You normally don't think of that.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so you started doing it slightly differently. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Who was yeah, please.
When we kicked off, and we talked about the focusing on the sounds and everything
Yeah.
specific, so that was quite. You're trying to focus on separate things, and then you took us down the breathing route, which was a bit more sort of meditative type
Yes,
stuff.
yes, yes.
But what I found was, even though I knew that was where we were going, I still kept flicking back to listening to Ian's shoes squeaking, and so all the previous tasks were still running in the background.
Who had similar type of experience? Please raise your hands.
I only had that for about 4 and then I got distracted.
Yeah, okay, yeah, but you still had this
It was the people coughing.
people coughing.
Sorry.
There's always
That's
one.
all straight attention.
What about them?
I had the opposite experience.
Please.
So every time I was focusing on a single thing you were asking me,
Yeah.
the thing I'd done before, I couldn't remember what it was. I forgot.
Yeah, no, I
I
just
forgot about it.
So you just follows through with distractions.
But for some reason I was thinking I should remember what I'd just done, but actually I can't, because I'm just totally focusing on
Yeah.
that one thing.
Wow.
Similar thing.
Yeah, nothing else mattered. I was just focused on that, and I
Yeah.
was totally aware of it. And
Yeah.
not, you know, I couldn't hear my breathing. If I focused on my nostrils, I couldn't feel the chair or anything.
Yeah.
Just that.
Okay. Please.
I've done quite a bit of that before.
Yes.
I do this practice and did quite a bit of mindfulness.
Yes.
And it was just absolutely natural. I knew what was coming, but I trained my mind to do that because that's how I
You
relax.
trained your mind to do that.
And
Yes.
it felt totally natural, and I knew what was coming. And
Yeah.
then I come out of it feeling really focused and knowing what's going around, and perception of self is just heightened, but in a
Yeah.
good way rather.
Yeah. And I think that thanks very much for your reflections. Is every single reflection is valuable. Yeah. What I wanted to exemplify that that's how your attention works. Okay. I'll give you one example. One Buddhist monk was put in this kind of big what is it called? Bubble, this scanning machine. And he was asked to meditate on loving kindness, whatever it was. And they said, the psychologist said, we're going to try to distract the attention and scan your brain at the same time and see how your brain reacts on distractions. And they shot the gun next to him. And encephalograms and anything like this showed no response whatsoever. Interesting. Yeah. And you're saying that somebody coughed or dropped a pen, and we're like, what the hell? Yeah. How can it be transferred to your sport?
Very much about blocking everything else around you out, so that you can actually focus on the one task at hand.
Where is the advantage of that?
Competition.
Could you expand?
We're focusing
Since I'm
on.
a former ballet dancer, I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's been it's having the joy of competition, being focused and not letting other people, like when we were practicing the deep water starts this morning, people not being used to people bumping into them, not letting that affect you, so you can actually focus on the task you're doing.
Correct.
To start.
Absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot
I
on.
was going to say, I've used that technique, swim starts, so that when you get into that zone and you're looking about and seeing everyone doing their own thing and saying, oh, the water's freezing and blah, blah, blah. If you can pull yourself away from that and focus on these things, on your breathing and whatever, and in that absolutely pandemonium, like being in a washing machine at the beginning, I think the greatest challenge for a number of athletes, I saw it today when Alan was doing the session, it wasn't learning the technique, it was seeing the tension in the shoulders, people swimming harder than they actually should be at that stage, so you would get all the metabolic reactions and whatever. But in that situation, the intensity is not actually that high at the start of a race relative to your max.
Yeah.
Whereas everyone else, your competitors might overshoot it. If you can find that zone where you're nice and relaxed, focused, feeling the water, aware of the bubbles around you, and not really conscious of the other athletes, still focused on them, not conscious on them. Your stroke length increases, you just swim better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this is an important part for you just to, at this stage, just to be very much aware of. This has absolute direct, you can take it to your sport straight away. Okay, as athletes and also coaches. Because what I noticed that the coaches talk about athletes all the time, and you try to be as creative as you possibly can be in terms of learning the new skills and transferring the skills to your athletes. Okay, and I think that sometimes it's kind of okay to take care of yourself and be able to somewhat control the mind. It's nonsense. You will never be able to control your mind, but at least place your attention where you think the attention should be, rather than have, there is a technical term like a monkey brain, when your attention switches all the time and you are completely unaware of what's going on. And excuse me, and therefore the quality of your assessment, the quality of your analysis, and indeed the details that you pick up from the environment and your athletes decreases. Yeah. Just because the way you think. All right? So I'll come back to it in a second. So a little bit about me. The ballet was mentioned. So I trained in Moscow Ballet Academy, and that was the experience could be described as concentration camp for children. I went there for middle of the end of 70s and came out in monkeys, not psychologically, end of the 80s. And so yes, but what happened afterwards? During my ballet career, I couldn't study and also perform at the same time, just because of the nature of ballet was absolutely horrendous, and English is not my first, in terms of touring all the time, you would understand. So we were kind of like gypsy lifestyle effectively. And English wasn't my first language, and I'm, terrible dyslexic, so, all these external factors, so, poor me, couldn't study. But I did start after the end of my career, and I did a couple of degrees, and started working with performing arts, and still do, and gradually moved to competitive sport, and I think it's much nicer and much more. I love being challenged, and I love challenging others as well. And you know, when you sit down with a couple of ballerinas saying, you know, my toe is particularly sore when I stand on my point shoes, it's one type of challenge. But 118 kilograms prop tells you that, you know, I can't stop punching my opposite number and I'm sent off. You know, help me with anger management. Right, where do I start? So this is interesting and this is challenging. So in the past 8 years, I've worked with something like 23, 24 sports, both endurance sports, team sports, able bodies, wheelchair, and at the moment now I work with several sports, but my focus sports are GB curling, both able bodies, men's team, women's team, and also wheelchair. I was very privileged to go and be accredited with our GB curling team in Social Olympic Games, and we had quite a successful games, and hence the expectations with the success rise up as well. So yeah, all sorts of different athletes and all sorts of different sports, but namely swimming from endurance sport, and also marathon running and a little bit of athletics. So therefore, these are my experience of working with endurance sports. Let's see. So why sports psychology? Why sports psychology is important? This is a question to you.
You can be the difference between
Winning and losing.
Yeah.
Okay,
I was
cool.
gonna try
In
and
what
say that,
particular way?
in that you need to believe you can do it before you.
So you need to believe, so therefore you have to think in a particular way. Yeah? Okay, cool. What else?
Maximize your performance.
In what way? Could you coach us? Before we carry on, can you just, you know, I'm like not only ballet dancer, but also English my second language. Please, can you be specific? Very, very specific. What do you mean maximizing? What does it mean?
To reach somebody's potential.
To reach some...
So in a simple example,
Yeah, please.
this isn't in this room, but
Yeah,
football, you take football,
Yeah.
players in a final can freeze. Players who performed exceptionally well previously
Yeah.
get put into a different environment
Yeah.
where there's focus on them and their team, and they freeze.
Because of why?
Whatever's going on in there.
So, thought processes. So here we're repeating the same thing. We need to make sure that we think in the right way. Okay, so what else? So we sorted out our thoughts. Okay, sorted. Good. What's next?
Being able to deal with new situations and increase pressure.
Is it thoughts?
Yeah, of things that other people affecting the way you're performing.
Yeah. The way other people affect what you think and also what you do and what you feel. So 3 main things. So everything you do, everything you think, and everything you feel. Is there anything else to human activity? Share. Nothing. That's why sports psychology is important for sports, because everything, every final control of your body depends on what is going on between your ears. If you think that the power, diet, skills, technical skills, on their own will win you medals, forget about it. They will, up to a level. You remember the kind of the gradual progress of children? The girls, up age of, help me please, 9, 10, 11, as far as the power and skills are concerned, are on level par with boys. Yeah, and then with puberty, there is a big differentiation. Okay, but if we look at athletes at age of from 14 to 16, they will win single-handedly on just talent, power, not necessarily what they eat because they eat rubbish at 15, 16 anyway, but they would, and they would compete on these criteria alone. But afterwards, from 18, 19 onwards, they all train from morning till night. Do you? I don't know. Okay. Endurance sport, you probably do. All of you guys have access to gym, equipment, and you become all very, very competitive. If you survive past, well, 19, 20 in this sport, you have to accept that higher you go, as far as the skills are concerned, it's a bit of a muchness. Of course, there are unique individuals in terms of endurance. I totally get it. But up there, you know, boys and girls, they're pretty excellent. So therefore, what is the final element? Of course, it is psychology, because you know it intuitively, and you probably have a lot of examples that your body will be able to go much further. Your body will be able to, driven by what you think. And if your head gives up, your body will fall instantly, and not the other way around. You think, okay, in this case, why don't we try a little exercise? Are you okay to play a bit? Okay, it's going to be a little bit physical. It's non-scientific whatsoever. Remember, I don't have to. Okay, it's a bit of fun. Anyone has sore shoulder? Sore shoulder. So you're going to be number 2, and you're going to be number 2, and I'll come to this in a minute. So what we're going to do, if you played this exercise before, let's do it again. And let's remember how it felt. It's going to involve self-talk. And I think in the previous workshop with John, I had this term popped up a couple of times, self-talk, and what we say to yourself effectively. Yeah? Do you understand? It's like what you say to yourself. Okay, what you think. We're going to manipulate and play with this a little. All right? What I would like you to do, it's going to be 2 groups. What I would like you to do to dedicate all of your attention, just zoom your attention as we did at the very beginning, okay, and commit to this exercise. And do it absolutely full on, please. That's all right? So we're going to divide into 2 groups. The group number 1, you're going to, when I'm going to give you instructions, you're going to stretch your arm to the side, and the person behind you is going to put one of the hands on your shoulder, another hand on your wrist, and try not to yank the arm down, but just try to push it down. Just see how much resistance the person number 1, yeah, the person number 1 in front of you is going to produce in 2 conditions. First is going to be negative self-talk. Second is going to be positive self-talk. Would it be okay? All right, so we're going to divide into 2 teams. You're number 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and you're with Doug. All right, on your feet, please. So we're going to do this exercise in complete silence. So number 1, step forward. Number 2 is right behind them. Number 1, step forward. Number 2 is behind them. And number 1, can you stretch your arm to the side so you have plenty of space? Yeah, your right hand, left hand. All right, so we all have things. Okay, just relax, chill. So number 1s, so number 2s. Let's start with you guys. Number 2s. Okay, just chill, relax. Don't do anything. Thank you. Number 2. So what you're going to do? Put your hands on the shoulder and the wrist, and try to push the arm down without yanking. Just feeling the resistance. Are you okay with that? Okay. So number 1s, yeah, you're going to have like serious task, and please commit to it. Will it be okay? Yeah. So what we're going to do, when I'm going to ask you, to bring your arm to the side. Okay, we're going to do it twice. Second with, first with negative self-talk, second with positive self-talk. Okay. So, what I would like you to do is to produce as much resistance as you possibly can in both cases. Is that all right? Clear. Good. So, what we're going to do, the first case is negative self-talk. You're going to say to yourself that I have no power in my shoulder. I find it impossible to resist. And that's a stupid exercise. All right? So, first, I have no power in my shoulder. I find it impossible to resist. It's a stupid thing to do. Could you please take at least 10 seconds to make sure that this becomes very much of your thoughts on the forefront of your thinking. Please commit to these 3 thoughts. No power, cannot resist. It's a stupid thing to do. Repeat and commit. And now please bring your arm to the side. Now, twos, can you please place your hands? And when you're ready, start pushing. Silence, please. Silence, please. Thank you very much. So what we're going to do now is to turn the table around. Turn the table around. What I would like you to do now is to see power. What power looks like. As the power has color. As the power has shape. It's a question to you. What does it feel like? Please focus and zoom on this meaning of power. Please say to yourself that whatever he or she behind me going to throw at me, my arm is not going to move an inch. Whatever happens, I am not going to barge. Power, place it right in your shoulder. You are not going to barge, whatever happens. Bring your arm to the side. Now just place your hands and start pushing. Go. Thanks very much. Reflection, please. Your reflection, please.
Before starting on the first one, you almost kind of feel an imbalance in your shoulders. So one felt strong and the other it's feeling weak before you even started.
Weak before you started, yeah. Okay.
You've already given up?
What's big time?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, guys?
Felt lazy.
Yeah. I can't be bothered. And the second time, number 2, let's talk about the guys who push their arm. What is the reflection?
Well, as you were saying to the number ones, you're not going to do it. It was empowering us to look back and say, oh yes. Because that's what it's the second time. It was like, well, you're going to put a lot more effort into this second time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to work harder.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. To us.
I was rubbish twice.
That made up tied to what he just said. And he's going over again.
It's a too positive mindset.
There was some snarling and growling.
So within 40 seconds, between the first attempt and second attempt, nothing changed. What changed alone? Yeah. What you think has changed. And what is interesting, and this is massive cliche, in terms of thoughts are things. And I think, what the hell does it mean? Here's the example. I'm sorry. No science whatsoever, but thoughts are things. And please take psychology very, very seriously indeed you do. Because what you think will instantly be transferred to your body. Yeah? With greatest of respect to S&C coaches, you as coaches, and support staff and extended teams and the rest of it, okay? What they think on the front line, what they think when they're in water, what they think when they on the bike, what they think when they run, is fundamentally important to the power and resistance they're able to produce during the race. Do I need to say anything else? Key components of psychology. This is one of them, positive self-talk. We already use elements of visualization, and I'm sure majority of you in this room are familiar with visualization. And I'm going to come back to it in a second. What are your previous experiences of working with sports psychologists, apart from Richard Cox? Zilch.
None.
I've done hypnosis as well.
You've done hypnosis, okay. But this is non-specific psychology. It wasn't with a sports psychologist, or was it?
Yeah.
It was, okay, cool. Yeah, I think I know the one.
I've done a little bit to do with swimming.
Swimming.
But sports psychology, like with like visualization.
Visualization.
And relaxation.
And relaxation, okay. Cool.
Gym
Yes?
management course that Steve Peters on.
Steve Pieces? Yeah. Okay. How did it go?
Very good.
Yeah, very good, yeah, cool. All right, so majority of this, in this room, people don't have like direct opportunity working with sports psychologists. All of them are as nutty as I am. All right. Let's move on. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I think that these are the key elements of sports psychology skills as I see them. Okay, it's activation and regulation can be achieved through self-talk. Okay, and can be achieved through a number of psychological skills. But self-talk and what you just demonstrated to each other is absolutely fundamental for your ability to control your activation. Yeah, in psychology, they sometimes use an inappropriate word called arousal. Don't feel good about it, but activation probably doubles up quite nicely, and I think that everyone would feel comfortable with that. All right. Mental rehearsal and visualization. That's an interesting part because I think that you as how familiar are you with that? With mental rehearsal? Very familiar? In what way? Tell me, share with me. I had no idea how visualization and mental rehearsal works in triathlon in your sport.
Asking the athlete how he's going to get through transition.
Okay, cool.
How he's going to visualise going into there, what he's going to do en route from the swim to there, when he's going to take his goggles off, when he's going to take his hat off, get his suit undone,
yeah.
Get in there, what's the next phase.
Where do they visualise? When?
Before the race starts.
Okay. Good. Anywhere else?
During the race.
Anywhere else?
I've done it beyond.
You're lying in bed.
Well before. So in the months before the event.
Just
especially.
hold this thought. If your athletes are going to visualize before the event and during the event, it is almost like you're going to say, do you know what, I thought of a new skill. Or when you run, and you're going to run slightly differently from what you've done in the rest of your training sets. And the athletes are going to say, goody, 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 that's exactly what I'm going to do in qualification race. Yeah. So therefore, my strong recommendation to you is just make sure that you integrate the visualization in daily practice. Okay? I'm a bit ambitious and a bit anal, and I think psychology is important. So therefore, why not use it? Yeah, why not use it? Because the beauty of visualization and mental practice is they can sit on their backsides and practice. What you did at the very beginning of my chat is exactly that. When you practice placing your attention on certain things, okay? As you correctly pointed out, that's what you encourage your athletes to do is to go from stage to stage of transition. Every single detail, every single element. And I think that a lot of psychology research suggests that the areas of brain that are activated during mental rehearsal are the same areas as when we actually perform the skill. Just think about it. The areas of the brain that are activated are the same as the areas of the brain when we actually execute the skill. In swimming, and I worked with swimming for many, many years, at the top level in Scottish swimmers, I sense that there is a bit of complacency in terms of using visualization because it's kind of repetition. They repeat the same skill, and when they come to the wall, they turn, they push, they kick, they brake. You know, come on, I do 10K every single training session. Why on earth do I need to do visualization? It's a different question altogether. But I think that in sports, like I work quite a lot with I'm Scottish, ice dance couple, work a lot in gymnastics, and I work a lot in curling, and I work with one GP motorcycling nutter. They do not live without visualization. Swimmers do, and God bless. But these individuals don't. You know why? Because, for example, in ice skating, triple salcho, you cannot do triple salcho 100 or 200 times. Dangerous, okay, injury, and it's so exhausting. And then they can lose the skill if they do it time after time after time after time. So therefore, they visualize before and they visualize after. Okay. And the beauty of it, same paths in the brain are involved. So therefore, not using visualization is losing a huge amount of potential that is available for your athletes to improve this particular skill. Now, an important part of visualization and mental rehearsal is activation regulation. So activation control. For example, they can certainly visualize themselves at the start of the race. Have you ever done it? Absolutely brilliant. This is a great, great opportunity. When you visualize yourself only at the start of the race, doing nothing. Just being at the start of the race, just before you jump in the water. How do you feel?
Anxious.
How does it feel being around your competitors? What is going on through your mind? What kind of thoughts do you have? You practice this time after time after time. When you visualize it, how's your breathing doing? How's your heart rate? Are you able to control it? And therefore narrow your attention on the skills that are immediately in front of you. Or every single cough or any other elements in your environment, or indeed in your head, distract your attention to the extent that you are unable to carry on with mental rehearsal. Interesting. Yes,
So
please.
what about if you had the athlete and you're naturally kind of apprehensive and you're asking them obviously to visualise being at the start, and their visualisation is
give them some water. It's all
so their visualisation is, oh, my heart rate's up, I'm nervous, oh, this is horrendous, and I'm really, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
How do you kind of change
what
that?
I would say it's all practice. Okay, so therefore you don't flood, in inverted commas, this particular athlete with these particular images. Okay, so what you do is the exercise that we practice at the very beginning. When your athlete is able to, say, differentiate the stimuli, for example, the sound, the smells, the temperature, the light, and body scan as well. So she's internalizing a focus, and able to segment it and place the focus on specific elements. Okay? So therefore, she doesn't think about the race as such, she doesn't think about her competitors, she thinks only about how's my breathing doing. Okay, and make sure that she is good at it before you introduce other elements in your mental rehearsal. Yes, please.
Can I bring up just the thought that most of us are coaches in here, we've got some athletes, and I've watched an awful lot of coaches.
Yes.
And we've all got this internal commentary, and I've assessed a lot of coaches as well. And that voice is going on inside your head all the time. And the first thing you did was Metabhavana and the mindfulness of breathing and everything.
Breathing, yes.
I think sometimes our own internal voices get in the way of actually focusing on the athlete. So it's, what am I going to say next? What's going to happen next? So when Alan this morning picked me out and said, "Oh, Andy, you're going to do diving," and I'm thinking, "Oh, shit." I know quite a lot about this sport. I'm a wee bit of a geek. And this bugger picks out diving, something I've not done ever before. And then I thought, but I can coach. So the mechanism going on in my head was, right, when I'm working with athletes I've never met before, I'm going to ask them a question. And it's real purposeful, thinking, what am I going to do here? And then see how they're reacting. And then almost having that self-awareness to be looking at where the heads are going, where the eyes are going, who's volunteering, who's not, and looking at almost the stress responses and something diving, which is quite a difficult skill. But for lots of coaches, we're thinking, oh, shit, this has got new coaching points, and that's all getting in the way, and we're forgetting about looking at the athlete. So before moving on, and I think I've done lots of coach education, delivered it, and we focus on what to do with athletes. Whereas in Buddhist practice, you focus on self and train self for ages before you even consider moving on to...
And that's where you're absolutely right. This practice is borrowed directly from Buddhist training, as far as the breathing awareness. And I think the points you're making are very, very important. Because what happens, and this is my experience as well, I used to teach ballet for throughout my career in university, many years. This is very good observation in terms of coaching, looking at the athlete and correcting the errors or imperfections in terms of technical, tactical, and whatever elements. And I think that it's almost, I'm not passing the judgment on the coaches in this room. This is just my experience working with coaches. I know that you are completely different coaches from the ones I've worked in the past. I'm just reflecting on my experience in the past. So that's what happens with coaches, is you see, you say straight away. You see and you say, and it's practically instant. So what does it suggest to me as sports psychologist? That it's almost you kind of know all the answers straight away, and they don't, and you do, and you share, and if they do, it's kind of they'll make the progress. Okay, and I think that what Andrew was saying in a way that it is important to build your awareness of what's going on in you and how you react and what your breathing is like every now and then. And I think that your awareness of yourself, and that's where you build awareness of yourself, will help you to build awareness of your athletes as well. So therefore you become much more intuitive coach, and you bring the intuition of what needs to be done, or indeed not needs to be done, forward, rather than kind of you'll respond all the time on what you see in front of you. It's just maybe a bit of a digression from what Andrew said. That's okay? Yes, please.
When Ross said that you know, if you've got an anxious athlete and you ask them to visualise being at the start of a race, and suddenly they might get incredibly anxious and
I
think,
agree, yeah,
actually, I
could
don't
be.
want to do
Could be
this
the
sort of
case.
stuff anymore, this is horrible. Could you use something like a hierarchy where you get them to think of, well, what's the most scariest race, you know, situation you might be in? It might be, you know, competing at the World Champs or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you say, well, what's the next most scariest thing? And sort of have it, and sort of, so the bottom rung of that ladder might be going to Stirling to do the, or going somewhere where nobody knows me to do a race, where there's no expectation on my shoulders and all that sort of stuff.
That's
and get them to deal, get
observation,
used to that, and get all their emotions in control and their thoughts in control doing that, and then take them up a level to their next most scariest thing.
I would say
so that they learn to control their breathing and their heart rate and their anxiety when it's an easy task, and not when it's a really, really scary task.
You see, I don't think that there are scary tasks.
Okay.
For trying to make the scary task, or the one that we perceive to be a scary task, into a non-scary task, so the perception of it becomes...
You see, I think what you said is spot on, because there is a one key word. It's perception. There's no scariness. It's only your perception. I'll give you two examples. Two our very successful skips and curling, David Murdoch and Eve Muirhead. Phenomenal talents. God on the truth, I'm not making the data up. They sit on a world championship just about to slide for the key shots in these key competitions. Scary shit. I guarantee you, their heart rate drops down. Their breathing elongates, and they just feel absolutely at home. There is no such thing as scary competitions, or easy competitions, or, you know, Cumbernauld swimming pool. Is it a difficult competition or easy competition? It's all perception, all in your perception. So therefore, let's work with our perception. And I think that this is the most important thing. Whether you work with kind of from kind of magnitude of scariness, it kind of reinforce the scary part. You know, I frequently say to the coaches I work with, you guys can give them a list and a book on things that they're not supposed to do. But this feedback on its own will not provide them answers what's supposed to happen. So therefore, it's the opposite. Tell them what they need to focus on, and remind them what they're doing well, what settles them down rather than undermines their confidence in it. So therefore, it's not about the scary, it's about the perception and building constantly control. I'm going to come to it in a second. Goal setting is quite clear. Yeah, I'm sure all of you have a lot of experience of that. Let's. Any questions at this stage? I would like to move to the next part.
Can I
Yes,
ask
please.
a question just on goal setting? A lot of theories talk about goal setting, set a goal that is achievable.
Yes.
But there are a number of people around who actually say the opposite and say
Forget about achievable
forget about
goals.
achievable and set a goal, it doesn't matter how high it is, and they use examples of people who, from the American ghettos, who have become a superstar because they dreamt
Whoopi
of
Goldberg,
Whoopi
absolutely
Goldberg,
correct.
etc. What's your thoughts on that? Because I think it's quite interesting.
My thoughts. Do you know what's interesting when you ask this question? And it sounds like you have quite a lot of thoughts on the subject as well. My thought is Yes, let's think. Somebody said that I have no goals whatsoever. It is, again, there are no right and wrong answers. There is you. What works for you? And I think it is all about learning about myself. I think that sometimes it is, Whoopi Goldberg is, I love Whoopi Goldberg. She is, from acting point of view, it's a different thing, and it's not acting, but her ambition, ugly child, right, was born in the middle of Detroit and said to her parents, I'm going to win an Oscar. God bless. Right? God bless her. And I love her dearly for that. I think it's wonderful to have dreams like that. I think that's what inspires people. Yeah? That's what inspires people. I work with these Olympian guys. Every single person dreams about marching under Union Jack somewhere. Not, sorry, I don't mean any under the national flag, shall we say, yeah? In the Olympic Games. Fundamentally, that's what they breathe. I work now with a 21-year-old boy who is going to be an Olympian. Wow. Incredible. Try to take away this dream from this boy. No way. No way. And he will go all the way, and he'll be visualizing, and he does visualize from morning till night. His skills, his slide, his competition, he practices it every single day. And it's such a pleasure working with these inspirational players and athletes. They inspire me. They challenge me. They come the questions, that I'm curious to find the answers for them. So yeah, absolutely. Can I move on a bit and ask you to do this little exercise? We'll talk about your sport, everything about your sport, okay? In the kind of black and white, let's break it down into black and white things. I'm crap speller, okay? So just open your imaginations and just ignore my spelling. Just let's think about the concept. So, and this goes to control the controllables thing, yeah? Because you use it all the time, yeah? You say, control the controllables, you're a lovely, lovely person. Yeah? And let's break it down. So therefore, in your sport, write it down what fundamental elements of your sport you cannot control. And when I say you, as coaches, and also your athletes. I'll give you literally 1 minute to do that. Just go wild and just write everything that comes into your mind. And please try to be original, because all other coaches think what you think.
No, they don't.
No pressure.
Oh, no, they don't.
All right? So, throw things at me, guys.
Other people.
Who are they? Name names.
Athletes.
Athletes. Athletes. Say competitors, yeah?
People watching. Spectators.
Dogs.
Slave drivers.
Dogs and
Yeah.
Parents.
Parents. Yeah.
Weather conditions.
Yeah. Here, what's interesting? How many athletes are in this room? 1, 2, 3. Oh, And majority of you are coaches as well. It's interesting that you talk about competitors and spectators and dogs. You do talk about yourself and coaches as well. Right. Shit happens. Accidents. Thank you. Huh?
Courses, so you can't control what the course is.
Mechanical on your bike.
Beg your pardon?
Something breaks on your bike.
Yeah. Breakage. Breaks. Not like breaks. Things go wrong.
Competition days.
Dates. And let's put here plus travel, yeah?
Travel disruption.
Yeah, travel disruption, hotels,
Yeah, losing your bike.
rubbish food and stuff like this, yeah.
I was going to say health, but I don't know.
Health.
Yeah, but
Health.
I think it's all organised, because I don't want to say health, I want to put health.
I know you didn't want to say health, but sometimes
I thought injuries.
Andrew said, wise things, stuff happens.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I put injuries and niggles.
Injuries and niggles, yeah, let's.
That's going to help. I still think you can control it to a certain.
Okay, is there anything else that jumps? Like, wow! No. Nothing jumps at you, okay? Fascinating. Can you hold this thought? Can you, in silence, can you hold this thought? Okay. Let's move to what you can control, coaches and athletes.
Your mind.
Can you be more specific?
What do you think? And
Thoughts.
Yeah, and how you prepare.
So the preparation is what you do. Yeah, am I correct?
Yeah.
It's what you do. So actions, yeah?
Yeah.
And
Training.
training, yeah, you do training, you do practice skills. There's one more fundamental thing that you can control. Nutrition. That's what you eat. Eat is like the process of putting stuff from the table into your mouth. Sometimes this is from the
Decision
pack.
making.
It's a thinking, decision making.
Feelings.
Correctamente. So, bottom line, what is this about? What does the cannot control column describe?
Or the external factors.
External factors, and sometimes I call this sexy word, use the sexy word, environmental factors. So everything around us, yeah? Yeah, and C, and here, self. So, this, as Doogie pointed out, comes from the very good old pulse of Stoic philosophy, and Greek philosophy, in action. How does it help you?
You focus your attention on the stuff you can control, forget the rest.
And what is the red asterisk for? If I'm going to help you, you're going to kick yourself all evening. Okay, it is the most fundamental part.
The result.
Thank you. Why? Nobody, apart from you, said that you cannot control the result.
Is there too many variables outside your control?
Yes, that's the reason why you cannot control the result. Why didn't you say it? It is an important part, because in my professional career, in all sports, you're absolutely spot on. All sports, athletes, swimmers, curlers, coaches, performance directors, support staff, fall into this thing. thinking that we can control the result. You can control the result. So chill. And therefore, let's place your attention on what really, really matters. You certainly, and that is your professionalism, that is your wisdom as coaches and athletes, to take on board and learn about your sport as much as you possibly can. So therefore, this becomes number one. You certainly have to learn and know everything about the environment that you possibly can. Yeah? But you don't stop here, because this becomes number two. And this is the Holy Grail. That's what you told me from the very, very beginning. That's what we're after. That's what you're trying to do to help, your athletes to achieve. And you as athletes, that's what you're trying to do. And this is number three. And please be explicit. We cannot cover it today, but please be explicit in terms of what does it mean to have an optimum performance and mindset for an optimum performance. This is your homework. There's one more thing here, element. Confidence. In what particular condition, when your thoughts and your attention is solidly placed on external factors, or your attention is solidly placed on internal factors, or can control, before the race and during the race, how is it more likely to affect your self-confidence? When you think these thoughts, make social comparisons, predominantly thinking about the equipment, predominantly think about all these things that cannot control. How
your confidence drops.
Confidence will drop. When you think about your prep, your eating, your sleeping, your thoughts, feelings, how is it more likely to affect your self-confidence? Up. Okay. Now, self-explanatory. Sorry, I'm a former paradox. In what particular condition, and that goes to the top of the first slide, and that is a bit leading and it's a bit plain with me, but then again I'm simplified. In what particular condition you are likely to achieve your optimum performance? Thank you very much. That's practically the end of my presentation. Please take pictures and remember the red asterisk. Always remember the red asterisk. So therefore, place your attention. That will ensure the result. You cannot ensure the result by this and this alone. It is impossibility. That's where your perception of the competition becomes too much. It's too much. Ask your athletes to control and execute the control of their minds in terms of the processes. And that's what we were talking about, the goals. And you are very familiar with the process goals and outcome goals. And this is your action plan. Please make sure that there is no outcome of the race. There are no consequences of the race. It is only one step at a time, one position at a time, one thought at a time, and one image at a time. There's no consequences. If you nail this ship, you cannot lose. The result, one second, I'll come back to it in a second. The result will take care of itself if you go through this process. Make sure that that's where you're aiming. and open the brackets and write down exactly what it means. And if you follow through with this simple process, you're more likely to ensure this element of your performance and the performance of the athletes. Yes, please.
Do you think that the first one in the Keynote column, do you think that encourages people to cheat, or coaches encouraging their athletes to cheat because it's something they can't control and they want to control? If they think they can't control the result, then they're not doing very well. But if they think they can cheat and control the result, do you think that's why people tend to cheat? Because it's giving them control of that.
It's a very broad topic, cheating.
I know.
because you know, where do you start talking about it? Because cheating can be in terms of technical elements. It could be doping. It could be all sorts of different things. But with greatest respect, I would like to put on hold your question because we ran out of time. I hope it was useful for you. Thanks very much indeed.
Folks, I'm conscious you may or may not have questions for Misha. He's going to hang around afterwards, or else we will be here all night. A couple of thank yous from all of us. Thank you to all team leaders today, to Kev, to Penny, to Barry, wherever you all are. Thank you very much. Thank you to all of our deliverers, Alan's still here, John, and to Fiona. Thank you very much as well. That is